Good afternoon, everyone. It's July the 10th, 2023. Um, I'm going to talk about something very interesting today. I'm going to start off with how my morning started off so interesting. I had just taken Heidi, my service dog, out for her usual walk in the morning. We were sitting just waiting for the light to change. I noticed this woman approaching, but I didn't think anything of it. And I waited for the light. The light changed. I started walking across the light. I got to the other end of to the other sidewalk, and this woman stopped me and asked me if my dog was a therapy dog. I said, no, not really. She's a service dog. And then she turned around and she said to me very politely, well, I was grateful. Your dog just calmed me down. And I said, what do you mean? She just calmed you down. And then she turned around and she said, did you see that truck that just went by behind with the sign on it? And I said, yes, I did. And she said, well, about a month ago, it was a company truck that had just gone by. And she was saying about a month ago, one of her relatives had been driving one of those company trucks and had a really bad car accident and apparently died in the accident. And just seeing that really had her very, very upset. And she said just walking beside me and Heidi started calming her down. So she started praising me for that. And then, of course, I said, well, would you like to pat Heidi? And she said, oh, yes, I'd love to pat Heidi. So I had Heidi do our usual routine, which I have her sit. And then she does the how do you do, which I've shown you in other films. Well, that was just set off the conversation with us for the next several minutes. And it was beautiful, and Heidi was just sitting there so beautifully, and she was so calm. And I found out this was one of my neighbors I never met before, but she was in the area. And it was nice because we had a really nice conversation, and eventually the conversation turned to the fire of yesterday that was going on and all the trucks and everything. And as I reported in my last video, that I'd found out that a number of neighbors had known that there was this woman that had set the last 3 fires in the building. Well, this woman that I just met this morning was saying, yes, I know the woman who started those fires. And I said, you did? And she said, yes, this poor woman has severe mental health problems as well as addiction problems. And then we got talking a little further, and she said, well, she is one of my neighbors. I tried very hard personally to help this woman. And it was extremely difficult to try and help her with all the problems she had. She really needed professional help. She's definitely living in an apartment herself, or a place. And she was very, very, very difficult, she said, because one minute she'd say one thing, another thing. And then she explained how she got caught being the one that they suspected was for the fires. They went in to find her, I think, in her bedroom, starting to set little fires all over the place. So this is what we were facing. And she said, well, and plus with the way the rental agreements are, there's no mental health. We have a real problem down here getting these people the help that they need, let alone accepting it. And and again, like, what do we do with these people? But, it was really a wonderful conversation with her, and now I know another one of my neighbors, which is nice too, just to be able to stop and chat, which was good. But it shows just how bad the situation is down to us, and people are saying, there's nothing wrong. It's in your imagination, this opioid addiction and the mental health problems. It can't all be that bad. Well, this just gives you a really good example how bad it is when I talk to people. But a lot of good came out of this conversation, because I want to tell you a little bit more before I end the video. I want to talk to you again a little bit more about Heidi. Now, Heidi, I've been in situations where I walked down the street. I came up to some other people after crossing the street. He was in the wheelchair, and I guess his wife was just sitting there. And she was asked if she could pet Heidi, and I said yes, no problem. So I had Heidi sit. Heidi gave her routine, shook her paw, and then, of course, I showed her the film as well on her drinking the tap water, and she was laughing. And she said, that's the first German Shepherd that I've ever wanted to pat since I was a child. And I said, since you were a child, that's kind of like, why would you do, what's wrong here? And she said, well, I had a neighbor's dog who should have been put down, had gone after attacking deer and other animals and that. Well, I got attacked that day and my leg was ripped apart, and I've been afraid of German Shepherds ever since. And for some reason, Heidi, I just wanted to pat her, this German Shepherd. And I said, oh, well, this is wonderful. But I had bought Heidi, and she was what I was looking for, was a temperament, because I not only am I a senior, I work with seniors all the time, so I wanted a dog that had really, really good temperament, would be able to sense things with seniors, not hurt the seniors, be very gentle with them. I can give you one example of that another time walking with Heidi, and that was near the Mint over here on Sussex, and just between the lockdowns during the pandemic. And I was walking and stopped at the corner, waited for the light, and suddenly I hear this yelling from across the street, and I look, and there's this little old lady in a wheelchair and this younger woman pushing her, and I'm looking to see who she's trying to flag down there, and realizing I'm the only one, so I waited till she came over, and it was beautiful because she stopped. Heidi just put her face right on her lap. She started petting her, and it turned out the other woman was her daughter, and she said, you know, she's been in the hospital so long and so alone, and I'm so grateful for what you just did, stopping there to let her pat Heidi, because she'd grown up around animals and on a farm, and this was something that she was desperately missing. I had just made that woman's day. So this is one of the other beautiful things about having a dog. And I've seen so many things, wonderful things, and with therapy dogs, even in the hospital, they started resuming the therapy dogs, and it was nice when the therapy dog jumped up on me, and I got talking to the owner about my service dog, and wonderful conversations around the dogs. And it's got me thinking now what's happened when you're talking about the mental health workers that we're talking about down here. I think it would be a great idea. Another idea that we could put out would be have the therapy dogs with the mental health workers, because in many cases people are just stressed out and everything else, and the dogs do have a calming effect. I think they would be a great asset down here, because even I've seen the how police dogs are trained. I've followed the videos very closely on how they're trained, as well as the police officers that are trained to the canine units as well, and how well trained both the police officer as well as the canines trained. And to see these dogs that could in 1 minute rip a person apart on an attack and go in and bring down a suspect, and then the next go into a school and have children patting this dog. You know, so there's a lot of things that we can really do. But if you think we're not having a crisis down here, this is a definite crisis when we have fires like this, which could cost people lives. And it certainly explained why we had such a large fire and police presence came flying in, as well as the ambulances at the end. Because if that fire had not been contained to that unit again on the 4th time, it could have taken up the whole block on the row housing there. And so thankfully we had more engines than we needed at the time. But we got everything under control, and I believe that was because of the situation with that particular unit. But thankfully our emergency services have that red flagged at our backs. And thank you for being there for us. And I want to give a big shout out to our emergency workers, and thank you for being there to protect us. And everyone, thank you again for listening, and have a nice day, and you guys take care. Bye-bye.